Hey everyone, and welcome back to another King Arthur Legends Rise video. So in today's video, guys, we are going to be talking everything keepsakes. So the keepsakes I mentioned in a video maybe about a week ago talking about mid-game plateauing, right? If you are stuck on a certain dungeon or level across all dungeons, you're just like, man, I don't know what else to do. I can't get any better gear to upgrade to possibly jump up to the next spot. I was talking about how going from maybe, you can go with your baseline no ascensions available here or awakening. Sorry. You can go from 0 awakening to maybe a 1-star awaken or a 3-star awaken, and it will jump you to the next stage. The 6-star awakening, though, is what really unlocks a character's potential because the set bonuses of these keepsakes are just so strong. They are very, very good. One of the benefits as well to keepsakes is, especially whenever you get the 6-star awakening unlocked, is the actual levels, the star levels of the keepsakes, albeit they are important, they are not the end-all be-all. You can get away with 4-star keepsakes and still really benefit because the set bonuses are really good. So that's what I want to talk about today. We're going to talk about when to use what keepsakes, which heroes they're best on, and everything like that. So the first thing to know is to get the keepsakes, there's only one dungeon to get them, and that is at the Fortress of Arcellus. Now, Arcellus is just like the other equipment dungeons. It drops 3 specific keepsake sets, and the rest you have to craft. So this dungeon not only drops the keepsakes themselves, but they will also drop materials that you can use to craft other sets of keepsakes. So keep that in mind. So with this dungeon, today's video is not about this dungeon, but I will reference real quickly that the mechanics of this boss, you just completely ignore, okay? I usually read through these things. You don't need to read through it. The main goal of this boss is to filter by all of your heroes that have something called attack gauge decrease. You look through all of your heroes that have attack gauge decrease, and you build a team. And that's how you will eventually beat this dungeon. There's plenty of guides out there. I'll eventually make one myself. However, I'm trying to find a more free-to-play team for you instead of the typical Bedivere Gillian team. I will mention, though, that most of the time, when you're farming for gear, you want 6-star gear. That's extremely important on the actual gear sets. However, when it comes to the keepsakes, 4-star keepsakes are perfectly reasonable, and they can 100% allow you to jump up to the next stages. There's plenty of heroes that I think can wear 4-star keepsakes and farm stage 10 of dungeons. Maybe not specific equipment dungeons, but they could at least, farm stage 10 of Master of Death. They can farm stage 10 of the Favor Dungeon or Forbidden Dungeon. They can scale up to 75, 90, 100. The point is the keepsake bonuses themselves are very good. Now, as I mentioned, this dungeon only drops 3 of those keepsakes. The good thing is all of them are useful. However, 2 of them I think are actually very, very good, and that is Immortal and Strife. Now, the thing that I've seen here is it says 3 sets. I don't know if they're going to release stuff in the future that is like a 1-set bonus or a 2-set bonus. I don't know. There's a lot of customization in gacha games like this, so who knows? But these are 3-set bonuses, so you need all 3. You need your heroes to be 6-star awakened, but if you do, you will get these bonuses, which are huge, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. So let's talk about the main stats that you need to be looking for on these pieces. So for your belt is the very first one that you unlock, and it's not going to be so important on your damage dealers but it's going to be extremely important on your debuffers or your support heroes that land debuffs or have any kind of attack gauge decrease. So your Gillians, your Morgans, all of these heroes that have effects that reduce the target's attack gauge will require effect accuracy. And that is one of the main stats that you can actually get on these belts. This is huge. The only other way to get effect accuracy, actually, there's two ways. I think you can get effect accuracy on the orbs as well. Let me check that real quick. I don't want to be giving y'all fake news. Okay, so I don't see it there. So it's on the belts. Let's do this real quick. Okay, so we have it on the necklace, which we thought. Okay, yeah, necklace and belts. So those are the only two places that that you can have effect accuracy. So if you don't have them on the main stats on your necklace or on your belt, you're going to have to find them in other areas, you know, on your boots, on your chest, all of those things. So I think you can see why effect accuracy is such an important main stat on the belt. Other than effect accuracy, the other things that you have there are effect resistance. So effect resistance is going to come in handy, you know, for anything PvP related when your opponent's got a really fast hero and they're trying to push back your attack gauge or something, or freeze somebody. If you have very high effect resistance, this could throw off their entire game plan. So these are not useless, especially with clan versus clan coming out. I think in the next patch, effect resistant belts might end up being a little more important in the future than they are currently. But this is another main stat of the belts. But effect accuracy is by far the most important. As you see, though, these belts can also have like an added stat. This one was attack speed, which is great. You can also have attack speed in your substats, which are absolutely huge. So other than, you know, effect accuracy, as you saw on Bedivere, you know, we have flat attack. Attack is always going to be best on your damage dealers, but do not sleep on something that has maybe HP. You know, as you scale up higher in the game, sometimes HP is going to be needed for you to hang on just a little bit to maybe get like that extra attack. One more attack before your damage dealer dies, just to get enough damage, you know, on the boss. You know, especially if it has really good substats. Like if this belt had crit damage, crit rate, and attack percentage with you know, attack speed or something, it probably makes more sense for me to take all of those substats over 121 additional attack, right? So don't sleep on those. Just because it's HP or defense doesn't mean that you can't slap it on your damage dealer. So I think it goes without saying that if you have a damage dealer, you should look for attack. If you have somebody who's a support hero that doesn't need to land debuffs, you know, it's nice for someone like Guinevere to land debuffs, but she also thrives on HP. HP is a great main stat here as well. The orb, we've talked about this. It's similar to effect accuracy. Effect accuracy is only on the necklace and the belt, and then attack speed is only on the ring and the orb. So attack speed orbs are going to be very, very important. With speed being so key, you probably don't even care what the substats are. Eventually you will, but with being able to get so much speed out of this one piece of gear, you should keep all attack speed orbs. These are going to be one of the most important pieces in the entire game. So do not trash any of these. Attack speed as your main stat is going to be amazing. The other main stats that you can have in here, more HP, more attack, and more defense. Recovery is another one. However, recovery is competing with attack speed. I don't think there's really ever going to be a case, other than specific speed comps, specific arena teams where you will favor something over attack speed. Almost every time you're going to have attack speed. There are another few instances where hit accuracy is important because hit accuracy can only be achieved on your earrings. So hit accuracy is a main stat on your earrings and then also on your orbs. This allows you to not weak hit. So if you have, heroes that are of a negative element, like Guinevere here is wind. So if she's fighting a fire hero, if she has higher hit accuracy, then she will miss less. This allows you to do, the right amount of damage. You can still land debuffs and stuff like that, but the hit accuracy matters for charge meter stuff. It kind of goes a long way. So hit accuracy will be an instance for your orbs sometimes. This is mainly on your damage dealers like Bedivere's, K. But if you can get enough hit accuracy on your substats, you're certainly going to prioritize attack speed here. 95% of the time, guys, you're going to be looking for attack speed as the main stat. But there are going to be instances where maybe you have enough speed, maybe you're using a speed set on your heroes where their main stat on speed is okay, that maybe you can prioritize something over the attack speed. And then when it comes to the banner does offer two individual stats that can only be found on the banner. One is Pierce, and then the other is Endurance, which is the opposite of Pierce. Now, I haven't tested this extensively, but I will say that Pierce versus something like crit damage, I feel like crit damage is better. Again, I haven't tested this extensively, so take that with a grain of salt. But Pierce is supposed to reduce the target's defense based on the percentage of Pierce you have. So the way that reads means it should just ignore that amount of defense. But again, whenever I've tested the crit damage versus the Pierce, I haven't noticed huge differences. So I just tend to go with the crit damage. But it is worth mentioning that Pierce and Endurance are the only way to get Pierce or Endurance main stat is on the banner. But I think what you're looking for here on damage dealers is the crit damage. Sometimes you're going to want crit rate as well if you don't have enough crit rate. Like this is a great crit rate banner. So you have really high crit rate, and then you have some good substats in the attack percent and crit damage. This is fantastic. The other things that you can get here are basic attack, basic defense, and basic HP. So for your support heroes, you're looking for HP or defense depending on their multipliers. If they have a defensive multiplier, maybe you put defense there. But if it's just heroes that are there for debuffs or to survive, you're 90% of the time going HP. And then on your damage dealers, it's crit rate, it's crit damage. Okay, so let's talk about the individual sets for these keepsakes. So in the crafting area, your 3 to 4 star gear, right? For your equipment, you do have this basic crafting material. Now, this isn't as important for your normal gear pieces because the star levels will matter. However, on your keepsakes, you do have some basic materials as well that you can farm from the main story. So even if you don't have the ability to farm the individual dungeons on the keepsake dungeon, like with that dragon, if you don't have enough turn meter or attack gauge reduction heroes, you can just go farm the main story and you can get these pieces and you can still craft. Oh, sorry, that's the base set, but that is worth mentioning. Sorry, that threw me off. Without getting any of the set bonuses, you can still get those main stats. So if you're struggling with speed, you can go to the main story and you can farm these pieces to then try and, fish out a speed orb without having to farm that dragon dungeon. Now, when it comes to the actual pieces, you do have to farm the equipment dungeon. So, but these 3 to 4 star crafting pieces are still 100% viable because these sets are quite good. All 3 of them, like I said, are viable. The Strife set being fantastic for damage dealers. This is something that you really want to utilize in Master of Death and Crom Crouch. So Strife set is fantastic there because whenever you kill one of the appendages, you'll get an extra turn and you'll gain a 10% attack increase for the rest of the battle. This does stack. So if you kill the other appendage, you will get another 10% attack increase, albeit you have to do that within another 2 turns because there is a cooldown on it. But Strife is fantastic in that area. The dungeons where there's waves, the problem is this says for the rest of the battle, and each wave is considered a battle. So the first wave, if you kill someone, you'll get the 10% attack bonus, but when you go into the next wave, it's considered a new battle, so your attack increase will fall off. But you will be able to do it again on the next wave if you kill one of the appendages of the boss, right? So you got to be a little careful with that. That's where I think, other sets like Focus or something like that might be a little more valuable. So when it comes to the Corrosion set is obviously great on any of your DOT heroes, your Anguishes, your Rosiers, heroes that you want to prioritize in Burning Land. They're just going to put up an additional damage over time. So if you do that, you're going to kill the boss quicker. It actually might even help you get, from stage 8 to stage 9 if you're landing an additional damage over time. Those little things will matter. So yeah, Corrosion set is fantastic on those heroes. Now the Immortal set, so straightforward. Whenever you use a skill that heals, you gain a 2-hit barrier. So if you're going up against a boss that has a really hard-hitting 1-hit ability, like it says this skill hits 1 time for 400% damage, it won't get through that barrier. You will take 0 damage. So there's a lot of heroes that have a skill 1 heal ability where they go in and they attack and they heal somebody. When they do that, they will gain that 2-hit barrier. The thing that I don't know, because I don't have enough pedestals to level up my Turin, I don't know if a heal over time actually will affect this and give her a barrier, or if you need to have an actual heal mechanic. I don't know if a heal over time actually counts as a skill that heals. So, but your heroes like Sarah, your heroes like Solday, Gillian, all of those are fantastic in Immortal set, and you should 100% utilize them. The Fortitude set, this says upon being hit when your current HP is 20% or lower, HP recovery of 40% max HP. This is good on specific heroes like your Sigrun. Your Sigrun says when hit, if self's current HP is 30% or lower, it gains perseverance. So now, anytime you would take fatal damage, it ignores it, and you basically just get a hit taken for free. So her passive saves her from being killed at 30% or lower, and if she gets hit underneath the 30%, then she'll be able to heal back with the Fortitude set. So there are some instances there that are great. You have some scenarios with, Guinevere, where she has the ability to put a shield on herself whenever she's 30% or lower, and she'll gain invincibility. That's another hero that's really good in Fortitude set. I think a case can be made for somebody like Rosier. I call her something different every time I talk about this hero. Rosier, I don't know. but her skills actually sacrifice some of her HP. So you have the ability to actually take her below 20%. And if she gets hit by something, small or a very light damage dealing ability by an enemy boss or something, she might be able to take herself back up by an additional 40%. And then the last hero I'll mention is someone like Urians. Urians also has something like that where he sacrifices 25% of his HP, but he has something along the lines of your Sigrid or your Guinevere where he gains this physical enhancement when his HP is 40% or lower, where he only takes 1 damage. So you might have the ability where he's like at 40% and you use his skill 2 to take him down to 15%, and he'll gain that perseverance. So now he's at 15%, he gets hit for 1 damage, and then he heals back up with the fortitude set. So it's certainly more of a niche set, but I really like whenever specific heroes have cool abilities like the Urians, where they can take full advantage of this fortitude set. It's probably more so for PvP, I think, because there's, like heroes out there like your Morgans or your Gillians that if they hit someone, it's going to do very low amounts of damage, where the 20% will matter. The thing is if you're at 20% or lower and someone comes in with like a Cormac or a K, you're getting knocked out where it doesn't matter. So yeah, this is probably really specific for certain PvP defense comps, but this one, I doubt you're crafting very often. You're going to be crafting the Strife set, the Immortal set a lot, and then the Focus set is extremely good too. I think it's best on attack and defense heroes, and it's really specific for heroes that either put self buffs on their self or heroes that have some kind of support hero that gives them buffs. So what this says is at the start of the battle, you gain this ability depending on your class. So if you're an attack hero, you gain Fighting Spirit, which then turns into something where if you gain a buff, you will get 10% critical strike rate for the rest of the battle, and then I think it's 20% critical strike damage. So if you have somebody that puts crit rate up on themselves, you will get an additional crit rate as soon as you use the ability that gives yourself that buff. So you need to give yourself a buff first before you can gain the additional buff. So the critical strike rate up and critical strike rate damage up will then go on your attack hero for the rest of the battle. The defense heroes, which I think are also very good, so this is your Guinevere and your Sigrids again, is they gain defense for the rest of the battle, and then they take less damage. This is really good because both Guinevere and Sigrid have defense multipliers. So your defense going up is basically additional damage. So that's why I like this. Now the support stuff, to me, this isn't huge. They gain effect resistance up for the rest of the battle. This is important on basically one character, and that's Ain, because her damage also scales off of the effect resistance, but I don't know if I'd put her in a focus set. And then the control heroes, which is, your Morgans, they get effect accuracy and hit accuracy. So the effect accuracy, I think, is good, but I think you can get that from other areas where you're not really going to put focus on them. So I think it's mainly just going to be for attack and defense heroes. And the defense heroes are going to be the ones that actually do damage based off of their defense. So Focus set is a very good set as well. And then Unity, I think, is fantastic for basically any hero that you don't know what Keepsake set to put on them. The Unity, at the start of the battle, it grants Unity to all allies that have the same element. So the attack up and defense up by 10%. Now, I've heard someone say that this doesn't stack. I don't know why it wouldn't. A lot of things in this game stack that you never would have thought would have stacked. So I can't put this to the test, but it should stack. If it doesn't, having at least one or two heroes in this Unity set will be great, because I think when people craft this set, they'll find out more and more that you actually don't run a whole lot of heroes that have the same element. They might be one or two, so you won't get as much of the unity bonus as you would think. So, yeah, those are all the sets. Those are some of the heroes that I think you're going to put them in, and I just want to show you them in action. So the first thing we're going to do is go into Nest here, and we'll go into Stage 9, and I'll show you Bedivere. So Bedivere is in he's in Strife set, which is fantastic, like I said, for Master of Death, killing appendages and stuff like that. But this is the one where if a target dies, he gains attack increase for the rest of the battle, and then he charges his attack gauge by 100%, and then also gets some drain. But yeah, I just want to show you what this actually does, and then we'll move on to Unity. So Sarah can go in here. We'll use Morgan to decrease this guy's attack and defense. All right, so now here's Bedivere. What he's going to do is, you see right now he doesn't have any attack damage buff, and he's nowhere in the turn order. But if he kills this dragon... Okay, so he killed the dragon, and then he ended up getting 100% attack gauge boost, so now he takes a second turn. He also added the 10% attack boost. So the Strife Keepsakes do have a cooldown, so if he kills, another dragon, he won't end up getting another boost because he needs 2 turns to do it. However, if we ended up killing this dragon, sadly it's the last dragon available, so you won't be able to see the boost. He would eventually get more attack. All right. But the downside to Strife set, which is what I was talking about, is it treats each wave as the next battle. So now you see he does not have the 10% attack boost anymore. So we would have to kill another leg or appendage to actually get his boost. So I don't know if we can kill this front leg or not, but we'll try. Okay, so we were able to one-shot it, and see, he got the additional turn, and now his attack percentage is back up. The nice thing about the Strife set is I think you're able to recalculate how you do dungeons. The 10% boost might be great just for the first wave, right? To get you through a wave to help with your speed teams, make it more consistent. But if you're manualing, if you're trying to get, through a Royal Road achievement or something like that to get some rewards, going in there and, trying to take down this dragon and just clear the appendages to get the attack percentage boost might be a strategy for you. I don't know. The the 10% might be a huge deal. So let's say we have the 10% on Bedivere. I don't know if we have our cooldown yet. So it was on a cooldown. We'll have to try and kill this other wing, but I'm pretty sure it came off cooldown now. We'll try and heal up with Sarah. And then maybe we'll kill this wing this time and take the additional bonus. Okay, so yeah, he got his attack gauge filled again, and now you see he's got 20% attack. So maybe this makes a difference. Now, this is probably a bad example with this boss, or maybe not. So that is that. I will say that currently, Morgan is in the Unity Keepsake, so she gets attack and defense to all fire element heroes. So turn is also Unity, so she'll take less damage because her defense is up. But as you see, I'm using Sarah and Bedivere, so they don't get the Unity. It's kind of... it's not as good as you would think it would be. Now, if we were using the other damage set, the focus set, since Bedivere has critical strike rate on himself, he would then get the additional critical strike rate and critical strike damage once he gave himself those buffs. So in, dungeons like this, I think that set is a little bit better. But if you're using the Strife set for Master of Death or Crom Crouch and Sealed Temple, I think this is where the Strife set is just a game changer. It can really help you kill, these bosses quicker before they start scaling up and deal really good damage on their other appendages. So I think those items are complete game changers. Obviously, they're great in favorite dungeons as well. This is going to help you be able to farm, your stage 10 and all of those things. But yeah, guys, that's all I have. I wanted to talk about the keepsakes in detail, talk about which ones are important, the main stats to look for. I hope it helped. I know my videos are always long-winded, but I try to explain the best I can. But that's all I have for you. If you enjoyed, please like the video. I appreciate everyone's support, by the way. It's been overwhelming. I can't thank you enough. And hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Catch you on the next one. See ya.